World War I may have been called the war to end all wars, but World War II was even more devastating in its scope and deadliness. Here's why the Second World War was so much worse. World War I was the first war to ever have something like a truly global scale. It was fought in Europe, Africa, the Middle East, and Asia, leading to the loss of millions of lives. While World War I was bad, World War II eventually became the deadliest conflict in history. The bombings of cities killed thousands within minutes, and the political and economic consequences of the war continued for decades. By the time World War II ended, it had forever changed the nature of war. World War I was largely a trench war. This means infantry often picked a spot, set up artillery and machine guns, and dug trenches to protect their soldiers. The enemy did the same on the other side. In between the two, there was usually a large wasteland, an open area soldiers had to cross to launch an attack on enemy lines. Some of the biggest battles of World War I were fought this way. While tanks and early airplanes were also in use, they weren't the core of the fighting. By the time World War II started, artillery and machine guns were far more powerful and deadly. Airplanes, tanks, and submarines also played a big part in the conflict. The Germans used the world's first jet-powered fighter aircraft and an anti-aircraft artillery gun known as the Flak 88. The 88 could destroy a target up to 200 yards away. During Operation Battle Axe alone, it destroyed 90 British tanks and killed nearly 1,000 men. But the biggest difference between the two wars was nuclear weaponry, which was utilized toward the end of World War II. In the end, it was the United States that would drop the only 2 atomic bombs ever used in war. Then, of course, there was Hitler, the worst thing to come out of World War II.
I think of all the tyrants in history, you have to put Adolf Hitler right at the top.
While World War I caused immense destruction and death, World War II brought the world the Nazis and one of the most widespread acts of genocide in history. Ironically, Adolf Hitler served in the Bavarian army during World War I. He not only volunteered, but he was highly decorated for his service. Hitler's time in the military helped shape his latter political career and served as inspiration for what he thought the future of Germany should look like. Hitler is best known for his deliberate planning of the final solution, the organized persecution and killing of millions of people during World War II. In addition to murdering 6 million Jews, Nazi Germany's racial policies led to the deaths of 5 million others, including Roma, homosexuals, Soviet prisoners of war, and Jehovah's Witnesses, many of whom perished in the concentration camps. Under Hitler's watch, Nazi Germany embarked on a campaign to cleanse the country, authorizing doctors and geneticists to carry out all kinds of horrifying experiments and mass sterilization programs. Joseph Mengele, the chief doctor at Auschwitz-Birkenau, was involved in more than 70 medical research projects between 1939 and 1945, many including children. By the time World War I ended, it had become the bloodiest war in the history of the world. The deadliest day of the war resulted in over 57,000 British soldiers losing their lives during the Battle of the Somme. In total, there were 8.5 million military casualties and potentially 14 million civilian deaths by the end of the war. An additional 21 million were wounded and 7.7 million ended up as prisoners of war or missing. The casualties in World War II were much higher. Over 15 million died in battle and 25 million were wounded. Additionally, World War II resulted in over 45 million civilian deaths. The 2 nuclear bombs detonated over Hiroshima and Nagasaki killed over 200,000 people, of which more than half died instantly as the bombs exploded and leveled parts of the city. There's no exact number regarding the many who died over the following months from radiation exposure. The aftermath of World War II was also unquestionably catastrophic. Britain was in major debt, the Soviet Union was dealing with widespread starvation, and Japan spent decades rebuilding the destruction caused by atomic fallout. Much of Europe had been occupied by the end of the war, and many cities had been reduced to ash and rubble.